Michael, I want to sell my property down here in Mahaka. Could you please tell me what steps I need to take, or which is my next step? Okay, so my name is Michael Davies. I'm a Spanish lawyer and I've been in practice, and I've had an office here in Mahaka, but we also have one in Marbella and Almeria City for about 28 years now. So what is the next step? Well, the first thing is we need to work out what the tax implications of the sale are, to see how they can be minimised. And then I think we should go through the people that are involved in the sale process and the timescales. So the first thing is, regarding what the tax implications are, we need to know whether you are a tax resident in Spain or a non-tax resident, because capital gains tax works completely different depending on what the situation is. So if you're a resident, the most important thing is to make sure that you claim, if you're entitled to them, the exemption that exists. One of the exemptions is the one that if you're over 65 and you're selling your main home, that's a property for where you've been a resident in and living in for at least 3 years before the sale, you claim a full exemption of capital gains tax if you're over 65. If, for example, you're a married couple, one who's over 65 and one not, we can still claim it in respect to half. If you're under 65 but selling your main home, if you're selling and then reinvesting in another property, you can also claim an exemption on capital gains tax if the next property is of the same value or more. If it's of a smaller value, you can actually make a partial claim. Now, this exemption for reinvestment, you can even do it in reverse. In other words, if you happen to buy your next property before you sell your existing one, there is also a way of claiming an exemption of capital gains tax, but there are certain requirements regarding proving how you use the money, etc. We always say that if you want to claim this exemption, the best thing is to buy the next property you're going to buy with a mortgage, and then use, when you sell the other property, which you're doing it up to 1 year after, you use that money to actually directly pay off the mortgage in that amount, and therefore the taxman will have no doubt that the money has been used correctly, and it will avoid problems with the claim for the reinvestment claim. If you're a non-resident, you unfortunately can't make this claim for reinvestment. Unlike in the past, if you sell the property in Spain and reinvest in the UK, you can no longer roll it over since Brexit, unfortunately. Regarding non-residents, things work in a completely different way. The buyer's going to retain 3% of the purchase price paid to the tax office, and then your lawyer that handles the sale will work out what the real capital gains tax is within 4 months of the sale, and either pay the extra in or claim money back. So that's it for capital gains tax. Plusvalia tax is another tax. This is another tax to the town hall. There are lots and lots of questions that we constantly receive on this, because there was a time when it was declared unconstitutional. It only lasted for 2 or 3 weeks. Then they brought the tax back with a slightly different regulation that made it constitutional. And now basically there are 2 methods of calculation, and your lawyer can calculate, of the 2 methods that exist, which is the one that's most beneficial for you, and that's the one that he will need to claim. So the only word of advice on this is just to make sure that the lawyer has made the calculation using the 2 systems, and that therefore you're not claiming the most beneficial for you. Okay. Now, so what are the other taxes and fees? Well, you're going to have a fee to the lawyer. I don't dare say what the amount is, because it varies quite a lot from lawyer to lawyer, and I don't want to upset all my colleagues, but if you ask us for a budget, I will be more than happy to send you a budget in advance for handling the sale. Now, regarding the sale itself and the marketing of the property, it's like in the UK, you can sell the property yourself if you can find a buyer, or otherwise you can use an estate agent. In Spain, estate agency fees are actually more than in the UK. We were talking about anywhere between probably 4 and 6% is more or less the usual in the area. Probably the most usual fee that we see is around the 4 and 5% mark. More than 5% than the 4, but around the 5% mark plus VAT. So what is the process and what is the time scale? Oh, sorry, the other tax that you do need to take account is the energy efficiency certificate. You need to do one of these. If you've been renting out the property, you may already have one. If you've purchased within the last 10 years, you'll also have one. Energy efficiency certificate belongs to the property, not to the person that requests it. So if you had an energy efficiency on that property, because you received one when you purchased it within the last 10 years, or because you requested one to rent out the property, you can use it for the sale. Otherwise, get one. You need to request one. The cost is anywhere between 150 and 300 euro. So get that done, and it will last for 10 years. So taxes, we've said capital gains tax, plusvalia tax, the energy efficiency certificate. You've got the lawyer's fee, ask for a budget, and then you've got the estate agency fee that we said runs around 4 to 5%. Plus VAT. What is the process? Okay, so once you found a buyer, if there's an estate agent involved, a €3,000 reservation will be paid to the estate agent, and then the lawyers will talk to each other and organise a 10% deposit contract. Again, you can grant power of attorney to your lawyer to do the whole process for you. In our case, that is very, very, very usual. And that's it, basically. So the 10% deposit is the next step, normally within about 15 to 30 days of the reservation being handed over. And then you normally set a completion date, and that's for completion at the notary, within 1 to 3 months of the deposit contract. So in total, the whole process from the moment you find a buyer can take as little as 1 month, as long as 4 months. Exceptionally, people agree on different arrangements, which are perfectly possible as long as they're written into the contract, but that would sort of be the normal timescale of things. That's it in a nutshell. If you have more questions about selling your property in Spain and would like to have a chat about your situation, whether it's handling the conveyance or the marketing, or you've got doubts about any of these things, please contact us. Thank you for watching.